The first time I kissed her, we were standing in the dark corner of the backyard, and I knew if anyone saw us, I'd lose everything. It started when I moved into the house. It was a small, quiet compound with just 2 flats. I rented the 1-bedroom on the ground floor. My landlord, Mr. Okoro, lived upstairs with his wife, Ada. She was stunning, tall, graceful, with a warm smile that could make anyone feel welcome. At first, it was nothing. Ada was just polite. She'd greet me when I passed by, sometimes ask about my day when we met near the water tank. But then there were the little things. She'd bring me food sometimes, freshly cooked jollof rice or egusi soup, and insist it was because she'd made too much. I was grateful, but I didn't think much of it. After all, she was my landlord's wife. There were boundaries. Or so I thought. One evening, there was a blackout. It wasn't unusual in our area, but this time, it lasted hours. I was outside, trying to get some air, when Ada came down with a lantern. "Don't you have candles?" she asked. I shook my head. I hadn't bought any since moving in. She smiled and handed me one. "Take this. You shouldn't sit in the dark." That's when I noticed how close she was standing. I could smell her perfume, soft, like fresh flowers. For the first time, I felt a strange pull toward her, but I quickly pushed the thought away. Days turned into weeks, and Ada found more reasons to talk to me. Sometimes she'd ask for help carrying things upstairs, or she'd come by to borrow something, salt, pepper, even a bucket once. The more we talked, the more I noticed how unhappy she seemed. One evening, after I helped her fix a leaking tap, she sat on my couch and opened up. "He doesn't even look at me anymore," she said, referring to Mr. Okoro. "I'm just there. Like furniture." I didn't know what to say. I wasn't good at talking about feelings, but I told her she deserved better. That she was too kind, too beautiful to be treated that way. She looked at me, her eyes glistening in the dim light. "Do you really think so?" she asked. That was the moment everything changed. We started seeing each other in secret. At first, it was innocent, just conversations, stolen glances. But then one night, when she came down to return a bowl, she didn't leave right away. We talked, and when she stood to go, I found myself stepping closer. Before I could think, I kissed her. It was electric, terrifying, and wrong all at the same time. But neither of us stopped. From then on, we were careful. We met late at night when Mr. Okoro was asleep, or when he left the house during the day. But secrets are heavy, and ours started to weigh on me. One day, Mr. Okoro asked me to help him fix something in his car. While I was under the hood, he casually mentioned how much he loved his wife. "She's a good woman," he said. "I don't know what I'd do without her." I felt sick. Here I was, sneaking around with the one person he trusted the most. I tried to end it with Ada that night. I told her it wasn't right, that we couldn't keep doing this. But she cried. She told me she loved me, that I made her feel alive in a way her husband never did. And I believed her. Things came to a head a few weeks later. Mr. Okoro came home early one afternoon. I didn't know until I heard his voice in the backyard, louder than usual. Ada had come to my flat again, and we hadn't been careful. My heart stopped when I heard him shout her name. "Where are you?" he bellowed. She panicked, and so did I. She ran to the bathroom to hide while I stepped outside, pretending I'd been reading. "Have you seen my wife?" he asked, his eyes narrowing. "No," I lied, my voice shaking. He looked at me for a long moment before turning away. But the way he hesitated told me he didn't believe me. That night, Ada came down and told me we couldn't continue. "He knows something," she said, her voice trembling. "We have to stop." I agreed, but it didn't make the pain any less. I moved out a month later. I couldn't stay there, not with the guilt, not with the memories. To this day, I don't know if Mr. Okoro ever found out. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if he noticed the way she smiled differently, or the way she suddenly stopped bringing me food. And sometimes, I wonder if I'll ever forgive myself.